Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome to Three Buck Theater. And there's a lot of talk today about this particular clip of Mark Hamill at the red carpet for Child's Play, a remake no one asked for, as with most remakes, and a remake that probably won't do very well because it kind of feels to go against the entire point of the original concept. Never mind the fact that the original concept is going to live on as its own television series with the same creative entities involved. So why even have a movie like this? It's not to say that Hamill isn't talented in the role. I've heard good things about his portrayal of Chucky. But you're not even here for that. You don't even care about that. What you're here for is a discussion. Is Mark Hamill a Force Ghost in Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker? And is he done playing the role? Now, here's a clip. This is a snippet that came out. And I want you to listen. And I want you to come to your own conclusions, but let's definitely take a listen.
Is this really going to be your last Star Wars appearance?
I sure hope so.
Why?
Well, because, I had closure in the last one. The fact that I'm involved in any capacity is only because of that peculiar aspect of the Star Wars mythology where if you're a Jedi, you get to come back and make a curtain call as a Force ghost.
Okay, so that smirk at the end there should tell you pretty much one thing. He ain't dead. I'm just going to say it, that he ain't a Force ghost. Because at this point, that would be considered a spoiler. And that would be something that Kathy Kennedy and JJ Abrams and Bob Iger and all the people at Lucasfilm would be very, very, very upset about. Like, don't Tom Holland or Mark Ruffalo this, Mark. I know you're on your way out the door. I know it's the last day of school, so to speak, on your Star Wars career. I get that, but don't do it. And he's smirking. He's playing it up. Does Mark Hamill love Star Wars? 100% he loves Star Wars. This is not even up for question. This is not even up for discussion. He loves Star Wars, hands down. He has been very vocal about his displeasure in regards to The Last Jedi. He has. So when he says, I got closure in that last film, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. He's been abundantly clear about how he did not get closure in that last movie, how he felt like he was playing Jake Skywalker, not Luke Skywalker, how him and Rian Johnson butted heads over what to do during the reunion scene between Luke and Leia. Like, even him and C-3PO that he had commented on, like Johnson just said, do what you want. Mark Hamill did not get closure on that movie, but he is a team player and he understands the need for good press. He understands the need for good publicity. He understands the need for good headlines, but he also has his own problems with the last movie, as do so many other people. So when he says, when they ask him, are you done with this? Is this your final role of Skywalker? And he says, I hope so. That part I believe, because we know that Disney and Lucas and Kathleen Kennedy have come out and said that this is meant to be the swan song of the Skywalker saga. This is going to close it out. This is going to bring it home. This is going to wrap it up. This is going to be the end of what Lucas started over 40 years ago. They've made that claim multiple times. That much I do believe. This is going to close out the Skywalker part of this saga in order to then open the door for what may come next. And of course, that's going to be D.B. Weiss and David Benioff, and we're not going to see anything of that until 2022? Is it 2020? Yeah, 2022. Yeah, right? I don't know anymore, man. It's like the dates are so far away. But then again, I'm a little older now. So for me, 2022 being like a couple years is just going to go by like that. I have kids. So there's that. But it's true. We know it's closing it out. We know that they said they don't want to do spin-off movies anymore, which I think is a bad call, if I'm being honest here. I know Kathleen Kennedy says that she doesn't think that Star Wars can evolve the same way Marvel did, that it can evolve in the same capacity Marvel did. And you can't structure the films like that. Well, no, you could if you went back to the EU, to the Legends, and pulled that out and made that a reality, which they should ultimately do. In this particular case, though, Hamill, not happy with the way things went, and I don't think he's a Force ghost. If I'm being honest with you, I don't think he's a Force ghost. Maybe I'm in denial, and I can fully admit that. Maybe I just hated how they handled this character so fucking much in that last movie that I'm in denial over this. And I can at least acknowledge it from a fanboy perspective. That is not going to be lost on me whatsoever. It doesn't make any sense to me at this point to make him a Force ghost. It just doesn't. Not for the sake of trying to close out the trilogy in a way that's going to be good for the fans. We know that Mark Hamill has teased Rian Johnson in regards to his metal hand not falling to the ground like his cloak did. He's like, oh, that was a weird thing. If a Jedi can force teleport themselves or force doppelganger themselves halfway across the universe to a small moon of Crate and everything else, then who's to say what else he can do? Who's to say what's going to happen after closing off the Force for so long from himself to then reopening him up and then getting that surge, right? That surge of the Force on him. Who knows where he went? He could have just evaporated and ended up someplace else, or Force teleported himself somewhere, went like, wow, what the hell am I doing at this titty bar? Oh, I'm back on Tatooine, son of a bitch. Right? Like, he could be there. That could be a thing. I have no idea. Now, look, as much as I don't want him to be dead, I can also acknowledge the fact that the likelihood of him being dead and coming back as a Force ghost is probably more legit than not. But him saying it with that smirk on his face at the end there, playing up the crowd, playing up the audience, knowing what the response is going to be. He's been in this game long enough that he knows if he says anything, if he tweets out anything, it's going to run on like 50 fan enthusiast blogs. Mark Hamill says this, and then it might get picked up by larger enthusiast blogs and enthusiast websites and larger influencers and larger YouTubers, and that's going to keep the conversation going. Mark Hamill has done more to promote Star Wars and, quite frankly, Lucasfilm itself. He keeps it alive, which is one of the reasons why I do not think he was happy with The Last Jedi, and why I think, knowing what he knows about where Star Wars is going, he's probably hit that closure point. I'm pretty sure him and JJ had those conversations because, you know what? They had to talk him back into the film. If he got the closure, if he was killed off at the end of that last movie, who's to say his contract signed him for the sequels? If Rian Johnson was like, well, I'm going to kill off Luke Skywalker, and, and Kathleen Kennedy signed off on it, why would she spend the extra money having him contracted for three films if that wasn't the case? And I think that was ultimately the issue. I think what they wanted to do was they wanted to have Force Awakens focus on Harrison Ford, focus on Solo, The Last Jedi focus on Skywalker, getting his finale, and then the episode 9 focusing on Leia. And then with Carrie Fisher having passed away, then it throws it all up in the air. And they needed to find a way to close out the Skywalker saga by having an actual Skywalker. Now, some could argue that the Rise of Skywalker does in fact mean that it's Kylo. Kylo, shedding his Kylo Ren moniker, going back to being Ben Solo, taking up the mantle of being an actual Skywalker, adopting that name. Some have argued that it could mean that it's the end of the Jedi Order and that now they're going to be renamed as Skywalker, which does fall into line in regards to some of the lore held within the Star Wars universe. There are elements at play that could suggest that. But that's a lot of backstory, for one, and giving Kylo a redemption arc this late in the game. I mean, they hinted at it in episode 8, and that would have been something interesting to have him still play with that. But by the end of episode 8, he had gone from like, maybe I'm going to like join the good side to, nah, I'm going to take over everything and rule by force and by fear, indicating ultimately that he's gone. And if they go back and they try to explain it, or they try to wrap up this redemption arc in one movie, that's not going to go over well. But it could be what JJ does. I really have no idea. However, I do think in regards to this whole situation involving Mark Hamill and this comment right here, this was all said as a joke, right? He's like, oh, I get the curtain call. I get to come back for one more curtain call because I'm a Force ghost. The movie doesn't come out for a few more months. They're tight-lipped on everything. He knows how the game is played. That is clearly a misdirection. At least that's my opinion. But what's yours? I want to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. I am curious to know your thoughts on this one. Do you think that he's alive? Do you think that he's dead? Do you think that he wants to come back after this? Or are you just glad, you just think that he's happy that it's finally over? And maybe he's happy that it finally gets a conclusion that it so rightly deserves, and that it was almost robbed by Rian Johnson's terrible writing. Your thoughts, your opinions, let me know down in the comments. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.